Hello, Channel Automation podcast listeners. Welcome back to another deep dive into the techniques that convert leads. I'm your host, Casey Urias, and today I'm joined by Maggie Patterson of Statewide Remodeling. I'm really happy to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're doing it a little bit different today. You guys that are on Spotify or on some of the audio only streaming services, you're not going to notice much of a difference in terms of what you're listening to. We don't got video today, which is fine. It's not a big deal. But it's not you. It's us on our end. So we're gonna go ahead and still make this an amazing show. And I want to get started by asking Maggie, tell me a little bit about your position at Statewide Remodeling.
Yes, okay. So what I am is the coach of our inside sales team. What we do is we cultivate previous customers for statewide remodeling. So anybody that has bought from us before is considered a previous customer. We also handle people that are referrals from past customers, salesman referrals, things like that. We cultivate all of that. So we pitch to them anywhere from 6 months to 3 years to 4 years back. We pitch to get more business.
Okay, so your group
That's it.
focuses mostly on the people who already are customers, it sounds like.
Correct. So we do not generate, we generate new leads from referrals, but mainly it is previous customers. So they've already had us out before.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's some that's
Yeah.
things that you don't even hear happening for a lot of companies don't even dedicate resources to that kind of a program. So I'm glad that you're able to like have that thrive
Mhm.
and work well for you guys. And I have heard that
Yes.
you have very unique perspective on how you do your training with I guess you would call them like representatives
Yes.
on how to tackle that. And so tell me a little bit more about how that is different from the ones that are generating new leads versus ones that are talking with people who have already been familiar with Statewide.
Yes. So it's we call it a whole new animal because this is more of cultivating a long-term relationship. That's the difference between generating a brand new lead that has never heard of us before. With a previous customer, we've been dealing with them for years. That is one of the things that when we sell you a product, we're also selling you after service. And so because you're making an investment in a long-term, living arrangement. So we only sell to primary homeowners that are going to be living in their house for a really long time. And so they will do windows. Then maybe a year or two later, they'll want to do their bathrooms. Then a year or two after that, maybe they'll want to do their exterior doors. We try and find possibilities, how long they've lived in the house. If they're not ready now, maybe in a couple of months they will be. So we continue to follow up. It's almost like building a book of business so that when they do call in, they ask for us specifically by name. They know why we're calling. It's not a spam call. It's not a cold call because we've actually done business. There is a reason for us to be calling them. So that's why it's different.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that being a lot of companies that are in the home improvement space, they don't see, they basically are like, okay, we got your business, and then they move on to other new leads. And so it's something where it's like you're trying to establish you being the lifetime go-to company that they want to use for their home remodeling, because a lot of, especially people who own houses, you're not going to have like a one bed one bath situation most of the time. You're going to have something where it's like, okay, you remodeled one bathroom, what about your other bathroom? Or you have your kitchen remodeled, well, what about do you guys do external? I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you guys do external remodeling. I won't bring it up if you don't.
Yes.
Okay, I thought
Well, we
so.
did. We used to. So it evolved. So when I first joined Statewide in 2019, we we did sunrooms, patio covers, and screen enclosures, and which was huge because being in Texas, you absolutely have to have protection from Texas weather, from the heat, and then our storms are incredibly powerful because we're in the Great Plains. So our wind, our hail damage, our hurricane damage, things like that. We get tornadoes. So we had to have so sunrooms, patio covers. They're made out of sustainable material that's not going to degrade. They're also formulated for Texas weather. But then after COVID, we had to stop because a lot of the materials were taking so long to make after COVID. So we decided to focus more on internal, which is baths, kitchens, exterior doors and windows. We also do the walk-in tubs.
Oh yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And man, I actually from California where we're living in our own little bubble over here. I didn't know that you guys got
Hmm.
tornadoes. Imagine you just
Hmm.
installed a sunroof and then that just comes like flying over your way. That is crazy. I knew
Right.
you all had crazy weather.
Yes. We do. We're actually in Tornado Alley. So there's a whole swath up the Midwest, starting in Texas, going through Oklahoma, and Colorado all the way up. And so the likelihood of a tornado, we have a tornado season. We also have a very heavy storm season because our winds are very, very high. We're very flat. So there's nowhere for the storm to go. So that's why we do have a large occurrence of them. So we have to have windows that are storm rated. And especially on our coasts, we have heavy, heavy hurricane and flooding. So we have some extremes when it comes to Texas weather.
Well, shoot, like a lead that you may have for home improvement once might come back for the exact same thing if we're talking about that kind of crazy weather and storms and hurricanes and stuff. It's like, yeah, I just got my
Exactly.
I just got my whatever done and now it's all busted up again. Oh my
Right.
goodness. Yeah.
Well, but that's one of our selling points is that they had all their windows busted out by a hurricane. Once they get our windows in, that won't happen again because we also provide plywood and sealant. So if there are storms coming, we give the customers resources to seal them up so they won't bust. So everything will be, the windows will be standing. Maybe the rest of the house won't, but the windows will be up
Do you guys
and
do
the
I
door will
know
be
that
up.
one of the companies that I talked to on here, they did like window boarding. Like I'm
Yes,
super unfamiliar with that. Do you guys work on that too?
we do. So so if you are on a coastal area like Houston, Galveston, Corpus Christi, Rockport, any of those Gulf Coast areas get a lot of heavy winds and hurricanes. So we have to provide them with sort of a wood covering as you purchase the windows because that way you can cover them up, and we show you how to do all of that. So you don't have to go buy materials in addition to buying our window and then having to go and buy protection for it. If a storm comes, we give you that.
Well, that's fantastic. Dang. I'm glad you guys cover that.
Hmm.
That is something that I don't usually hear included within the same package as putting in Windows.
Yep.
Going back a little bit where you're talking about preparing your representatives to converse with people who have already been previous customers, how often do you follow up with somebody like that? Because I know with a new lead, it's almost like an everyday thing.
Right. So with the previous customer, we have sort of a calling queue in our customer service software, which is called Lead Perfection. So we gear it from anywhere from 3 months to 6 months to a year, depending on where we find the need. Sometimes within 3 months, we can find somebody that's ready to buy again. Sometimes it has to be 6 months. For me, it was always about a year to 2 years was the sweet spot. We would call them about every year or so. and just say, hey, how, we call it our anniversary inspection. We're calling from Statewide Remodeling, checking in on what we did for you. How are you enjoying your project? That sort of thing, to make sure everything's still going well, and then to see if there's any future needs.
So, do you guys kind of work in tandem with warranty at all? Like if, do they ever tell you when you check in, oh, by the way, there's something going on. I haven't called in to talk about it yet, but all of a sudden, now that you called to check on me, now I have something to say. Is it ever that scenario?
Yes. Yes. So what we do is we try and head it off at the pass, so to speak. We do have a customer care team number that we do provide to the customer, that if there are any service issues or warranty issues and they have any questions about what we can or cannot do, we direct them to them. We do want to turn it more into a positive conversation. So other than the issue that you are having, how else are you enjoying the project? So it's not just a focus on something that went wrong. And we want to make sure it's a positive remembrance of how well they're enjoying it. If the faucet's running or the faucet leaks or something like that. Well, aside from the faucet, how are you enjoying the wonderful new upgrade? How are you enjoying your new space? So we want to keep it positive.
Yeah, that's a really good way about to go about it as well. A lot of people will just hyper focus on fixing the problem, and then that's when they're like, "Oh, well, actually, do you mind giving us a review because we responded so quickly to your thing and blah 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 blah."
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys also take care of the
Right.
review process?
They do on the sales side. So when they go out and do what we call a product demonstration, when they go out to do a quote, that is part of their system. I believe that if they enjoyed it, they get a link to give us a Google review, Yelp reviews. We do Facebook, things like that. So definitely, and there is an incentive for a customer to give a good review. So we do want that, because word of mouth, of course, is the very best advertising that you can have.
Absolutely. Especially if you are able to give them at least a little bit something for a referral. Like if they think that it's like, oh wow, it's like I'm getting $100 gift card for all I have to do is say that I like these guys and I get $100 and they get $100. But in the grand scheme of things, like if they're doing like an $8,000 project, that's just a drop in the bucket. That's not a big deal at all.
Well, yes, and we do offer the a referral incentive program, so they can go to our website if they recommend somebody or refer a friend or neighbor. They get $100 gift card. If the neighbor or friend uses us for a demo or purchases, they also get $100 gift card. So it is win-win. And I follow up on all of those and make sure that those folks get their gift cards, because that is so very important. Yeah.
Well, sure, that's the whole point of it. And by the way, for people who are listening, I didn't know what their deal was. I was just taking a shot in the dark there. I just happened to get it
That was
100%
perfect.
correct.
That was perfect.
I've been around
You
the
got
block
it
for a
right on
while.
one. So yeah, so it's worth it. It's worth it for sure.
So in your neck of the woods, if something's going to go wrong, in the process, like what's the worst case scenario when you call somebody?
That they never used our product. I've called where the shower was installed right from the get-go, was installed incorrectly. And I'm calling a year later, and now they're just telling me. And one thing that we do is we resolve those issues. So we would immediately go out and completely tear out that shower and completely redo it for them, because I don't want anybody on my watch thinking that that's how we do our business. We do not. And that's one of the reasons we have such a high rating with Better Business Bureau, is because if there is a service or customer service issue, we solve it. We do everything we can to make sure that customer is taken care of.
How the heck would they like pay like that amount of money and then they just don't say anything? That blows my mind.
You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's they're just overwhelmed. It's just like in any scenario where you want to complain, but there is that fear of complaining. Um, you don't want to cause trouble. If you go to a salon and someone's cutting your hair and you don't like the way they cut it, you'd be surprised how many people would say nothing. They just get up out of the chair and
Well,
leave.
that I'm not
So
surprised about because it's like you
yeah,
look at them in the eye, like right there, and it's like your hair's not
right.
going to grow back on the spot. I get that one.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So, but there is that fear. And so what we do is ease that uncomfortableness to let them know, hey, we're just checking in. We do this from time to time. We're calling to make sure everything's going well. If it's not going well, this is the number that you can call. It's a lifetime warranty. We also have an installation warranty. But of course, if you don't let us know, then then we can't help you. So that's also why we're reaching out as much as we do, so that they do have, if they are having an issue, that we can get out there and try and fix it.
What would you say would be the easiest part of the process? Like, I'm just really fascinated with being able to talk to somebody who works in essentially like post-sale marketing. And so what would be the easiest part? Because
Mhm.
this is something out of my realm a little bit too.
Easiest in terms of communicating or pitching, or
Like if you were
what
to
do you mean?
talk to somebody, get on the phone with them, and they say
Hmm.
something to you, you'd be like,
Hmm.
"Oh, perfect. That's something that I can handle straight away," or, "Oh wow, this went through really
Yes.
smoothly."
Hmm. Yeah, it's just a matter of having a conversation. You'd be surprised with so many people that do not know how to actually do that. It's building rapport, building trust, showing empathy, being natural. A lot of people read off a script and they're not listening. I'm listening to everything that you're saying. So I'm going to pick up on things. I'm going to hear things. I'm going to mention them back to you. I'm going to ask you how you're enjoying the weather. I'm going to ask you how you're enjoying your house. I'm going to ask you how long you've lived there. I'm going to ask you, what do you like or don't like about your bathroom? It's things like that that make it a real easy way to earn somebody's business.
And even besides that, they're going to remember that you had a conversation with them that was maybe a little bit out of the norm of what they're used to talking to somebody who's like sort of within the sales area, you know? Um, I know with
Correct.
me,
Yes.
when I've talked to people on the phone before, it's typically people trying to get me to upgrade whatever I have for a service. They're like, "Oh, I hear birds in the background. What kind of birds do you have?" And I was like, "Yeah, they're gonna give me away every time because they never shut up." And that's like always what they try to go for.
Exactly. But that gives you a connection. If I'm trying to get you to buy a new service and spend another 20 to 30 to $40,000, it's going to be on the strength of that conversation. If you believe and we had a good conversation and you trust the person on the phone, that sales rep that goes into that home is going to have success. So that's what we're setting them up for, is success. We want that rep to go out there and sell. So that's 90% of that, I think, is the conversation.
I love it when I go and I talk to somebody, like especially like where my team has already met them at an event, and I'll be like, "Oh, I'm Casey from Channel Automation. I heard that you talked to so and so," and they're like, "Oh yeah, so and so. Yeah, we had such a great conversation." I'm like, "Oh, thank God." I'm so glad that you had a good conversation with them.
Right. There
You
is
never
that
know what
fear.
to expect.
Yes. You never know. Yes. You don't want to be faced with that awkward
Or they're like, "Who
situation
are
where
you
you
again? Oh, I
just,
think I talked to someone from your team."
right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
I always want to make an impression. Now let's pivot a little bit. I wanted to talk about what we do at Channel Automation and how that relates to your side of the sales process. What do you think in terms of being able to navigate AI with outreach and potentially getting rescheduled for additional business?
Well, definitely we want to use every tool that we can to get that initial contact. For me, initially texting was very basic, not a lot of interaction. It was just a very flat way. But what I was hoping to do was initiate some sort of conversation so that I could then call that customer and say, hey, because they've got their phone with them, they're texting, that means I can call them, they're going to pick up. With the AI, I've got a lot more options with terms, ways of phrasing things. It's more creative. It's also easier to adjust the message. So I have a lot more different fun things that I can do to make it more interactive. So that's what I've enjoyed about it. Is the just all the different ways of being able to communicate the message.
So, when you are completely intertwined with talking through AI with somebody, that's what you enjoy doing. Am I understanding that correctly?
What it's eliciting more of a response because I have more responses available. So if I'm stuck, if someone presents me with a situation and I'm not quite sure how to word it, I like that there's a suggestion agent assistant button, and you can type in what you're trying to say, and it can come back with options. And then that in turn helps me creatively respond to the customer. And so that's what I'm liking about it is there's more tools. I can also do voice recordings. I can do a lot more with artwork. And so it's a much broader platform than just texting alone. So that's what I'm liking about it is I could just do a lot with it.
Okay, you're talking about the agent assist portion of it. Yeah, and by the way, if you are
Correct.
curious on any of these features and you're listening in, we all have like our names for each feature, and if you are one of our clients, we're happy to go in there and show you what these features do. And if you're not one of our clients yet, we also can kind of give you an idea with more context of what things do. What Maggie's talking about here is essentially our AI will give you suggestions if somebody is going in a direction where there's hitting unfamiliar territory. You can say, hey, agent assist, I need some help on how to encounter this situation, or like how to deal with this situation. I haven't encountered it before, or maybe it's like I just can't come up with an idea at this time, like can you get me started, and then you can modify it from there. That's one of the features that we have. One of the things that we also do with AI is we are able to get the conversation started. And by the way, this isn't a pitch for channel automation in any way, shape, or form. I'm just talking about like
Sure.
like being able to use new technology in this process. That's what
Yes.
we want to do. That's what we want to educate people on. But if you are outreaching with AI, like instead of having to message everybody individually or call everybody individually saying, how are you doing? And the AI reaches out to them first. And then once there's a response, it comes to your team and say, hey, this person's on the line right now. Do you want to talk to them? What do you think about that?
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. It's eliciting such a much better response than just texting alone because I'm able to shape the message with either the number of messages I'm sending, how I'm sending them, when I'm sending them. So I can quickly gear it towards a specific audience and then weed out people that haven't responded. I can go ahead and text them again and blast them again and get even more responses. So I've had a lot of success with it over the past couple of months that I've really took a deep dive in using it. So I'm sure there's
Oh,
even stuff that I haven't even discovered yet.
that's great to hear. I like that a lot. And being able to have a time saver at the very bare minimum, like banging your head against the wall, trying to talk to people who aren't going to talk to you back, just having the system do that for you. I personally, that's my favorite part of it. Rather than cold, I don't like cold calling or cold reaching out. I mean, I know that you're in a different area where it's like it's not necessarily cold because it's a client that you already had, but it can get really frustrating trying to talk to somebody who just won't respond back.
Correct. And so that's when I was handling new leads, I was doing both. I was doing new and old. So for the previous customers, I prefer not to use the AI simply because the conversation is going to be to go in so many different directions. But with a new lead, it helped a lot because it was able to qualify, get them responding, and all I had to do was just monitor it. I didn't have to really do anything. It was all taken care of all the way up to booking the appointment. So that was awesome because you didn't have to, with a couple of tweaks here and there on wording and what's qualified and not qualified, it made it super quick and easy to get those leads booked and ready to go. With previous customer, I turned off the AI because it was confusing, because sometimes the answers just wouldn't fit it. So that's why I use the agent assist feature to give me ways of communicating. And I use the flows, the subflows like crazy. I love them.
Okay, that's great. I'm glad to hear it. And I did kind of think that was the case because you already have established that relationship with that customer. And that's something that
Correct.
AI is still growing in. And I'm
Hmm.
sure by next year
Hmm.
we'll be having a different conversation about it. But yeah, right
Right.
now it's really, really hard to get those specifics down. It's more of like a broad reach. I totally get what you're saying.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. But I like
All
it a
right.
lot. It's a lot of fun.
It is fun. I know. I have a good time too. And it's nice that you're able to also have like an arsenal of like different um visual advertising that you can send out as well. That's dynamic. It's really cool where well, it's cool and it's scary where the world is going right now in terms of like generative technology in the way that it reaches out and talks to people every day that I'm exposed to something I've never seen before and I'm the one who's trying to put this all in the
True.
system too, so it's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
Also, we are going to be wrapping up soon. Is there anything that you want to
Okay.
tell our listeners that's been in the back of your mind that you're like, I wish more people in home improvement knew this, or I have advice for you?
Well, with learning any new technology, you have to jump in with both feet. So it's better to jump in, push buttons, try everything, see what works, what doesn't work, because that's how sales is as well. With sales, you're always going to be changing and adapting. You have to, and you have to know what's current so that you can communicate that with your customers because they know what's current, they know what's going on, and so you have to keep a pulse on what people are paying attention to. That's my biggest piece of advice.
I completely agree. Being on top of it and actually caring about what you're putting out to people, not just doing a one size fit all thing, that's how you're going to stand out from other people. So
Correct.
that's going to be it for us today. Thank you again for jumping in with us, Maggie. I appreciate it. If you
Yeah,
have
thanks
any
for
questions,
having me.
of course, of course. It was a pleasure to have you. And if you have any questions about statewide remodeling, or if you want to talk to Maggie and pick her brain a little bit, we're going to have that in the description on our YouTube channel. And whether you love or hate what we talked about today, we do want to hear from you. So comment or shoot us an email at hello@channelautomation.com. Also, please consider subscribing to this podcast to continue getting tips on marketing and call centers as well as sales. And as always, make sure to keep your lead conversion high.